All right. Good morning, somewhere. Dr. JJ in the driver's seat for another edition of our show. Welcome. First, I need not admit to a problem. Just listen and we'll try to inform and maybe entertain. We're talking, Hunter. What's on your mind today, Hunter?
Oh, Dr. JJ. How you be, man?
Doing okay,
Uh,
sir. Doing okay.
yeah. I want to got a lot of things from in these rooms that uh, want to get you to converse with me on, and then I want to talk about the subject of one of my last blogs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I want to start with this business. Something I heard said, uh, which has to do with Uh, and to me, it's kind of about my last book was about the subject was bondage and our being in bondage,
Yes, sir.
and so the comment that was that struck me was odd. Somebody said, um, "I don't have to be that person again because of this program,"
Mm-hmm.
um, and um, that struck me at first as not true. And second,
Understand.
and second as, but even more deeply, uh, um, I'm saying bondage about being in denial about and uh, about who I am, uh,
Mm-hmm.
um, and uh, and and wanting to reject a part of who we are, which I'm calling that rejection of self as being in a form of bondage.
Mm-hmm.
That's um that's that yeah. So that's I'll go there.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
And
So I want to get you to respond to that for me. If you, I
okay.
mean,
Well,
I'm trying to set it up, but if I need to say more, I can. But I'm just trying
no,
to.
no, no. You've at least for me, I have a whole hour's lecture on the subject, which I will choose not to give today. That's
All right.
not a lecture forum.
Okay.
I will share a few notes, but it's well enough for me. I don't know if the audience needs any other setup. I think that's a statement that I've heard often, and I'm not, and I have in early in recovery, I have believed about myself as well that I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be the addict before recovery. I don't want to be lost in my addiction, worshiping the idol of my addiction, um, and focused on nothing else. I don't want to be that person, is the sense that it is said, when in fact that person really is and always will be part of me. But it reminds me of some of my understanding. And again, I am not a psychologist, although I have an undergraduate degree in the field. I am merely a consumer of psychotherapeutic services. You may recall me saying that on 16 or 18 occasions so far.
At least.
all, all say that there is an understanding of addiction that the earlier generations may not have had. Addiction is often the misuse of early survival skills to find something to solve a problem which we had inadequate tools as a youngster to solve. Okay, that being the case, we tend to use the same thing over and over again because we don't know what else to use, and it becomes an addiction, if you will. But that in response to trauma of some sort, big or small. But it reminds me of the trauma situation, the notion of when we are in trauma, we tend to dissociate from the immediate pain of circumstance as a survival mechanism, if you will. So this So since that has tended to work in response to trauma or trauma related activity, it's a to response for addicts, particularly early in recovery, because gosh, to get out of pain, what do I do? Well, dissociation helps sometimes. So let me try that. So I don't want to be that person is a statement of dissociation in my mind. Now,
Mm.
there are probably different schools of psycho thought that say, well, it's this or it's that. That's in my mind. And you're asking Dr. JJ. So Dr. JJ's interpretation. Okay.
That's helpful. That's helpful. That's helpful.
Okay.
So
With that said,
mm,
it does take more work in recovery and get further into the 12-step process to recognize that what it goes back to this notion of character defects. And what are character defects? Well, frankly, often they're character assets taken to the extreme. Okay. And it's only at that point that we begin to have an inkling that, gosh, maybe that thing, as we also say in the rooms out there in the parking lot, shops, maybe that thing, my addict, quote unquote, really is part of me, for example. Okay. So that solution of thought that takes work to get past. I don't want to be that person. To I can embrace that person and gifts of my faults, understanding that as I turn them over, the asset, the gold appears on the other side.
right,
Okay?
okay.
I just wanted to complete the thought. There is a way to move from point A to point B.
There is, say it again, last thing.
There is a way to move from point A, I don't want to be that person, to point B, tracing the gifts of my faults.
Got it. Um, this the second thing, this is actually in terms of setting it up, and it is consistent with what you were just saying.
Okay.
Um, uh, another quote or a statement. Um, My base nature ain't changing. I have character defects.
Okay. Um, and
And again,
again, I
it was
think
it's just interesting. The first statement, then your response, then I have to send it this is somebody else. So so go, please. The floor.
sunk it. all to say, all to say, once again, uh, what I understand by the juxtaposition of those two statements, and because those two statements can be taken apart and looked at separately,
Right.
but they were said together. They were
No,
said together.
no,
What?
they weren't. They weren't.
Oh,
They
oh,
weren't.
okay.
Two different. Yeah. Two. Right. Two different people. Two different statements. I mean,
So,
I
so
just happen to have them like that, and then
okay.
so
Well,
again,
has
it's
that
interesting your
that
response, and then I have that for you as a follow up to the first one. So please go ahead.
well, there the first statement about you know about the base nature of
Right.
my character um, can have interpretations depending on how the person's feeling about themselves. Okay, some people that they're bad, they're always bad, they'll never be anything but bad. Well, actually, what needs to happen in that person's recovery journey is change the word bad for human. I'm human. I'll always be human. I have human tendencies and I'm human. That means I'm imperfect. That means I make mistakes. That means I'm a blessed child of God.
Let me say this way in here because in terms of, again I was there
Yes, you were.
and here's um how I how what they said occurred to me.
Please.
And I'm gonna say I'm I and I'm saying this because I feel where they were coming
Mhm.
from. In relationship, when somebody, a partner has, called me on my shit or something,
Mhm.
and my response is, I ain't changing. This is where I am, but I ain't changing. And this is to you what you're saying. This is not about uh, 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 this this is that's a feel. This is the way I heard is this is self protection.
Hmm.
This my shit. Don't be trying to get me to.
Don't mess with my shit.
Shit, no, that's my
Don't
shit.
my shit. I mean, you can mess with a lot of things.
But don't be
Okay.
trying to get this is that's what I heard them saying is I'll go so
It's
far,
just
but
this is the street version of the theological notion of accidental versus essential.
right, right, exactly,
Don't
right.
mess with my essential.
You know where my central,
I
right,
don't care
right.
what you do about the accident. Don't
Right,
mess with
right.
my essential.
Central, right.
If I could translate.
Right,
How much?
exactly.
How much?
Right. See, you doing? You're all week. I got it. So look, but you see, so that's to me
Uh-huh.
the
Uh-huh.
difference between where you were going and
Yeah.
what I heard is no, they were. I love what you put it. They were drawing a line in the sand, like
Sure.
and they say, look, and this program ain't changing that. I'm here. They're like, I'm here to tell you, it can work on a lot of things, but they ain't changing that. And I don't.
Well,
And then,
and let me and
yeah,
I would be
right.
happy to in that room and smile. Just smile because oh yeah, we're coming after that. If you are going to be transformed, then everything can and will be called into question. Doesn't mean everything changes. It doesn't mean we have nothing of our old self. On the contrary, we find out how to put self together with us. But that means that base core thing, which we believe to be us, is shown the light of day.
So it's interesting. The second part, that was the first part.
Mm. Mm.
Um, I and again, I will. I'm
You were there.
I'm there. I was there. But and again, I can. I'm saying how it occurred to me, and I could be
Of
very
course.
much guilty of projecting here, but because I feel like
Well,
and, and he,
let's face Hunter. Let's face it. This really is about you.
right, okay, well, yeah, you know,
It's okay.
really, really,
In case in
yeah,
case the audience
really.
didn't know, let's okay, audience. This is really about Hunter. Okay, I just thought I'd let you know. Okay, okay. Don't mind me, Hunter. You go ahead. I just had to talk to the audience.
Yeah, right.
Go ahead. I'm having fun. Please continue.
In case y'all didn't know.
Hey.
Yeah, and I own that. Because and here's the funny thing about it. A very funny thing.
Please.
The person saying this, okay?
Yeah.
I can't stand that motherfucker. That's something funny, but
I know, and for my words to come out of that mouth, out of that my word, that mouth, really,
really,
not that I've ever had that experience in any of these.
Right. But
Ever.
yeah.
Of course I have.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute.
Right. which is somewhat digression here, which is very interesting. You see, because that's real. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that person says things that I totally identify with because they're human. Because and that's our human.
Well, that's just
it's amazing. I can't stand a person.
We can't stand we have things in common
Common
with.
with.
What was that? There was a movie that Dennis Quaid was in with an alien. Uh, that basically they were two survivors of a war, if I understand it, and they had the only way they could survive is by figuring out how to work together. And they started out knowing in their heart of hearts that they had nothing in common, and in fact, they had more in common than they thought. That alien mind, I can't remember the name, but it's reminiscent of that notion that gosh, what, and that's one of for me that's one of the values of being in these rooms is there is humanity even in that mofo sitting over there that makes
Mhm,
you know absolutely is now he's crazy, right? But
mhm.
he's saying my story
Right,
in one way or another.
right, right.
There's an awareness commonality that we don't get in our day-to-day interaction at the transaction level, I suggest. That's one of the opportunities in these
Mm,
rooms.
mm. I recall a recent conversation where you were pointing at that, and in terms of what's we were talking about what's singularly unique, and I think you were pointing at this,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
You are correct.
I did, so it's clearer to me what you were talking about now, than it was
Yeah,
then,
great.
in terms of it. Um, but here, and
Uh,
here's
Catch
why.
on your part, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And here's why. Um, it goes back to what you just whispering to the audience. It's about Hunter. So when to be able to get it,
Yeah.
I got to be able to personalize it. I got to be able to bring it into, it's got to be able to hit me,
Well,
and,
as you have heard said before, you have to taste and see,
yeah, 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 yeah.
right?
Truly, right,
And
right.
in this case,
Yeah, exactly, and um, yeah. So I was I because that's really
okay.
amazing. But so that's I was want to get back to. So the second part was about the character defects.
Hmm.
Now going
Yeah,
back
I'll
to what
always
you were
always have my character defects,
right.
and
No, but here's what I again what the person was saying
right,
is
please,
again to your thing about what was is that which is essential versus
yep, which is accidental.
accidental. They were acknowledging that the work here can work on that which is accidental, but don't come after my shit that's essential. Because I'm and even to the point of the addiction is in the realm of that which is accidental. So that's cool. I acknowledge I need to work on that. But this over here, this is I'm not um now I think
Can I,
we're
can
if
I
I
respond to that?
well let me tell you what I
Okay,
where
okay.
what I put this how I
Because
heard
I've
you.
got another lecture on this one too, but I'll just give you the cliff notes. But go ahead.
Yeah. Um to what I was just when we were just saying.
Yes.
I don't want to talk past the audience and have this. I want to bring this down. Um, and that's why I said you to a point you made about which said about taste and see it's about Hunter is that is true until I allow you, until I move to allow you. Nobody's gonna be able to move me off that against my will.
True.
until I'm ready to to put that up, and
Bring it to
let you
light.
it would bring was that
Bring it to light.
and bring it to light. And so I want that to be, I want that. So that transformation is not going to happen against my will.
Right.
I have to.
I would agree with that. I mean,
I,
yes,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
but again, it's back to what
yeah,
I was referring to earlier
yeah,
about steps 6 and 7.
yeah. You
When we
you
come
if
to realize that our quote character defects, which is the terminology the broken down stockbroker used in making a sale of the 12 steps uses, it, when we come to realize that what's in those defects actually include the very assets, gifts, the talents given to us by that higher power we talked about earlier in the step process
have you ever seen Best of Enemies?
of enemies. No.
You should see it. Um, it's a true based on true story.
Uh-huh.
Has to do with the desegregating of Durham, North Carolina, um, and
Oh, I remember some ads for it, but I have not seen it.
yeah, yeah,
That would have been
uh,
about 6, 7 years ago, maybe.
yeah, well, yeah. It's been a minute, but yeah, I don't think it's been quite that long. But
Best of
it
enemies.
it deals with the Grand Wizard and the civil rights worker who were brought together through what they call a charrette to try and work through differences to bring about integration. It's about the integrating of the school of the schools and they were and
Yes.
through this process,
Hmm.
um, uh, um, you know, he renounced the Klan and and they became the best of, but they came at it, and
And he became human to her as
right,
well. It went
right, yeah,
both
exactly.
ways.
Both ways.
That yeah, that
With through this process, the humanity
yes.
beyond the issue, but their humanity. He had a child that was uh, had um, um,
Developmental issues.
developmental issues and she anyway as their lives intersect they got to know each other's stories and
Yes.
and 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 work
Yes.
they realize
And and transformation occurred.
transformation curve, right? And thing it's all based on true story. I mean, these were really two.
Yes.
This is what these are real people that this happened, and they became the best. For the rest of their lives, they were the. He
Yes.
literally renounced.
They were
Right,
the
right.
yeah, the
And and
stalwart
and
human.
and here's it was interesting, and I'm again to the catch. Um, it's 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 like uh is it who your daddy? Well, this is who's your family.
Yes.
And what he came to realize is um the people that he thought uh were his family, being the clan,
Hmm.
um were really not.
Right.
He saw they're through some and saw, but this person is really trying to she tried to help him in ways, and so that's
Yeah.
it's like you know and I think
Well, and again,
it's
it's a what is transformation?
well
Transformation is the change rackets. Transformation is blowing up. Not to say that once you transform, you have no rackets. They're different, but in different, you see the world differently, completely differently. And what looked one way through the prism of your previous viewpoint looks completely from the new view, does it not?
yeah, I want to stay here and say it's not. it's more than viewpoints. Um, how so when it comes to mind in this moment is um, uh, sharing with someone that uh, Dr. JJ, your you know the you as my sponsor, but our you know your some of your political leanings
Mm,
versus versus where I'm coming from, and sharing
sure.
somebody, and that person saying, you know, how can he be your sponsor? You know. Um,
Uh-huh. Sure.
so, but we're not about viewpoint, and this goes to what I was saying to you the other day about what I need to see outside of these rooms.
Mm,
What is the difference that makes a difference is who this person has been in my life.
yes.
And that's what the movie that also what the movie is based on how they you see what you get
No, no,
where
I
I'm coming from.
understand. No, no, no.
So it's not just a
Not
viewpoint. It's a
just
matter
viewpoint.
of it's a demonstration
Yes.
and really in terms of real interaction of two
Hmm.
people that that bump up against each other and and two souls connect, kind of
They
like you were saying about
they
the
come to love each other
right,
in that
kind of
notion
like
of filios.
right, kind of like you were saying about the Dennis Quaid and the alien or whatever. They kind of
Yes.
like they
Well,
really it's
they
kind of like
do.
that and in a sense I would say it's funny when you went to about
Mm,
that to me is what what really to me uh what we're talking about here
yeah.
is uh when we drop the sexual connotations when we become intimate.
Yes. Well, that's why I typically said filios, because this isn't about eros.
It's about
It's
feeling.
about the brotherly love, you know, and we to the point of we will our lives on the line for each other
Right.
because we totally trust and care for each other.
Yeah,
That's what you're talking
right. Right.
about.
Right. And and getting there through through coming in these rooms.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk?
So
Really?
yeah, right. So
But
so
but
so
you're right.
so so my you go back to if I can work on my catch. So my catch of what you were saying that that what you were talking about was singly unique is manifested in our relationship.
Yes, it is.
Right. And found in these rooms. Right.
Yes, and
And
found
found
in
in these rooms. Right. So there we go.
and
Look,
may I just say,
sure. But I was waxing
I'm
poetically, but I didn't give you a chance.
that's
You
just one last point only on this because there are several other lectures I could have referred back to and I won't.
Okay, all right.
I won't belabor it. All I'm going to say is in these rooms, it's not the only place you can be found, but it is that is a special quality that can be found in these. May I suggest it is possible outside of these rooms. In my experience, I had never found it anywhere else. Okay, but I have never been in combat. I have not, sat in a rain-filled slit trench with a buddy and experienced
Mm,
common trauma like that, for example. I'm just saying there can be other situations which lead to these moments, but we find these moments in these rooms. That's all.
mm. Um, that's interesting, and as we seek to I don't know since to the clock here. Um, so, in terms of what you were saying, that which is it's like we as we dig deeper or deeply
Yes.
into that which is most unique, we find that which is most universal.
Dare I say the most human.
Yeah,
Re-
yeah. It's you know, yeah, it's in there.
It is.
Like that old Prego commercial where say that thing was it's in there.
That's right.
I mean, it's in there. Yeah,
But it really, in spite of everything else, in spite of the masks, in spite of the acting, in spite of everything we may try to do, deny it or change it, it's in there. It is. It really is. So,
and I would just sum that up by saying, it's in there because at the end of the day, uh, we're all fallen, fallible, and flawed. We all have our gangster proclivities, our characters, our demons, uh, and we're all trying to get home the best fucking way we know
that's fucking way. Amen, brother. And I say that with all sincerity. Thank you, sir.
how. That's what we're all on the same journey.
Yeah.
We're trying to get home.
Any
Okay.
way we can figure it out. Well, and that leads to your plug, dude. Don't forget.
Yes. So yes, audience, thank you for joining with us today and another conversation with Dr. JJ and having me back on his show, Hunter. Please, if you like what you're hearing here, uh, stay with Rect America in terms of blogs and podcasts, and consider becoming a subscriber to Rect America Prime content. If you're not already, if you are, tell somebody else about it. Uh, uh, and uh, we hope you will do that. And also go over to movingtheworld.us and look at some of the work we do there and services we provide and how we pay bills, keep the lights on, keep things moving. So again, check out movingtheworld.us for services and other ways you can support this work. Movingtheworld.us. And in terms of on the Rect America side and platform, consider becoming getting into some of our Prime content and becoming a subscriber to Rect America Prime content. All right. Thank you. Thanks
Very
for
good.
let me get that in, Dr. JJ.
Certainly, no problem. Well, you keep showing up because you do. Keep showing up, and we'll keep talking. Okay, Hunter.
Thank you, Dr. JJ. Appreciate you, man. Much love.
Thank you. I'll take care. Thank you, folks.